mentioned here tonight, but I think it's important that to note that the majority of soccer players and the majority of soccer fans, at least that I know, are Latino, and we're basically being hunted like dogs right now. And I wondered if there was going to be any kind of protection for people that may want to go to the stadium. What kind of security would we have against ICE roundups? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. How about yourself, boss?
Good, thank you. Hello.
Hey, thank you.
Community Benefits Ordinance process for the Detroit City Football Club. So, we promised food, we promised refreshments to be ready at 5:30. They were not ready at 5:30. But the good news is the food is ready now. So, if people are willing to delay the start of the meeting so that everyone can get refreshments and food in the room just next to that monitor back there, we would like to do that right now. So, in an orderly manner, perhaps we can start with the last row. Go in and get your food. Next row, maybe some of the ushers can help monitor and help people circle through. We're gonna get everyone fed, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. So thank you so much. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Aaron Goodman. I'm here with the City of Detroit Planning and Development Department, and I'm so excited to welcome you all for the very first community benefits meeting regarding the Detroit City Football Club stadium and development. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my presentation. And for the audience joining us on Zoom, thank you for being here as well. This is a hybrid meeting. I also want to make note that we do have American Sign Language interpreters, and I believe that we also have Spanish language interpretation available. If actually, the Spanish language interpretation, are they there? Could they just kind of come on the mic and say what they need to say in order to let people know that availability? We have transmitters. Are we able to bring them over the PA?
Hola.
Oh, thank you, yes.
Buenas tardes para todas las personas que necesiten del idioma de español. Tenemos aquí el equipo. Por favor, de venir para atrás.
Okay.
Gracias.
Thank you so much. So if anyone needs to make use of the radio headsets, please do so. If you're on Zoom, there's also a channel you can change to get Spanish language audio throughout the meeting. So thank you so much. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and technical issues always. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Just had to press the right button. So again, my name is Aaron Goodman. We're here to do welcome and introductions. This is the agenda for this evening for the Community Benefits meeting. And we're going to have a presentation on the Community Benefits Ordinance process. We're going to have some time for Q&A regarding that. We're going to have the Detroit City Football Club Stadium presentation and the presentation from the team about their project. We're going to have time for general Q&A for anyone who would like to ask questions about the project or the process. And then we are going to say a little bit more about the Neighborhood Advisory Council as well. So before I get too much further down, though, I would like to welcome to the stage for some welcoming remarks the Director of the Planning and Development Department, Alexa Bush.
Well, thank you, and good evening, everyone. My name is Alexa Bush. I'm the Director of the Planning and Development Department. On behalf of our whole team, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Our team helps facilitate the community benefits process, and we are very excited for you all to have an opportunity to hear about the project being proposed tonight by the development team. We think this is an incredibly important opportunity to help shape the future of your neighborhood, and we do really appreciate your time, sharing your feedback, asking the questions that you have of the project, because we really know that's going to be the way to achieve the best outcome here. So we really look forward to working together with you through this process, and do thank you again for coming out tonight so much.
Thank you so much, Director Bush. By way of more introductions, this process is not possible without our partners at Detroit City Council, and I want to acknowledge specifically 3 council members who are very critical to this specific process due to their role of selecting and engaging with Neighborhood Advisory Council members. And so Councilmember Gabriela Santiago Romero, who is the representative District 6, Councilmember Coleman A. Young II, who is an at-large member, and Councilmember Mary Waters, who is at-large. I believe it's Councilmember Mary Waters as well. If either council members who are here, if you want to give any opening statement or remarks, are welcome. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Aaron. Just want to say hi, everyone. Good evening. Buenas tardes. I'm incredibly excited about this project. Thank you for being here. I see some faces that might join the NAC. I'm happy that you guys are here. Let's make this amazing, great, inclusive for our city. I'm excited. That's really it. Thank you.
Councilmember Waters, if you want to, you're more than welcome. All right, thank you so much. I don't know if anyone from Councilmember Young or from the teams of the council members are here. You can just raise your hand or say hi, or we'll meet you later. I see some staff members back there, so welcome as well. Also want to acknowledge, from the city of Detroit as well, there's several departments who you'll get to know very well throughout this process. Obviously, the Planning and Development Department, we're here, and our team is here to facilitate this process, but we couldn't do it without the Mayor's Office, and the Jobs and Economy team, and of course the Department of Neighborhoods. Your District 6 Manager, Eva Torres, and District 6 Deputy Manager, Antonio Mora Mills, are here, as well as the District Business Liaison, Raquel Figueroa, who I just met tonight. So welcome, and also members of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, DGC. You'll be hearing more from them later in the process, but they play a key role throughout as well. And of course, we also want to welcome the members of the Detroit City Football Club and their development team. You're going to hear a lot more from them throughout this process, led by their CEO, Sean Mann, who is here with us, and many other members of the team who you'll get to know and see who are helping make everything go for this process and also for the project. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that we do have a website where we post all of the presentations, including tonight's presentation we posted there. It's updated with all documents where you can find all the latest information about this process, when the meetings are, recordings, as it is on Zoom, we're recording it and we'll make that available as well. So please do keep up to date. We have an email list as well, so you can sign up there for that, or if you sign in, you'll be getting update emails as well from that. So I am going to give a quick kind of overview of the Community Benefits Ordinance and what that process means, what it looks like, how all of you play a role in it, and I'm really excited to share that with you. Detroit's Community Benefit Ordinance, as some of you may know, some of you may not know, was the first such law in a major city, and it was approved by Detroiters during the 2016 election and then was amended by Detroit City Council in 2021. So we've had quite a long track record with this process, and many of you may know that it is looked at across the country as a model for how to do these kind of community benefits processes. Community Benefits Ordinance, just to define, in Detroit, it is a process for developers to proactively engage with the community to identify and address the impacts of major developments. In our process, a Community Benefits Ordinance should lead to a Community Benefits Agreement, which is a contract between a local community and developer that requires the developer to provide specific amenities and/or mitigations to the local neighborhood or community. In Detroit, how does a project qualify as a Community Benefits Ordinance process, and specifically Tier 1, because we actually have 2 tiers, but Tier 1 are the larger projects and the ones where we kind of have this more robust engagement process. Projects that are $75 million or more in construction costs and are seeking some sort of support from the city of Detroit, whether it's in the form of a city tax abatement worth $1 million or more, or a city land sale that is not on the open market or below market value for $1 million or more. So you have to have the investment amount plus a certain level of city support for the project. And we've been quite prolific and successful with our CBO projects over the last 8+ years. We've done 15 of them since 2017. You can see the list of those there, but we'll talk a little bit more about some of the specific ones. And really it is, some of the largest projects you may have heard of or are very familiar with, of course, in this neighborhood, Michigan Central being a key one. It's been almost $12 billion in investment, 4,000 new housing units, millions of square feet in commercial, office, and industrial space, 33,000 estimated construction jobs, 24,000 estimated permanent jobs, and over $2 billion in estimated net revenue benefit to the city of Detroit over the next 35 years. That's been what has been projected out of all the projects that have gone through this process. So very significant projects. Again, just to kind of give you an overview that you may know of, such as the Stellantis Assembly Plant, the Hudson's Building, Michigan Central, that's near and dear to this neighborhood, Fisher Body Plant, the District of Detroit, Future of Health. Those are some of the more notable projects that participate in the Community Benefits Ordinance process. It's also a process of deep resident engagement. So just some numbers to reflect that. First of all, we've had 15 of these projects. It's been 110 public CBO meetings. We've had 131 Detroiters serve on neighborhood advisory councils, and nearly 2,000 unique Detroiters who have come and participated in the process overall. We really believe this process about listening to neighbors, and listening to neighbors means you're going to have a positive impact on the development process, creating an opportunity for meaningful community engagement on private developments. The community has an opportunity to express the potential project impacts and direct dialogue with the developer, which is unique. The developer, in kind, has a chance to hear what's important to the community. Everyone's better informed about the project and construction timeline, and specifically serving on the Neighborhood Advisory Council is really a very unique and special opportunity for residents to meaningfully impact the city's growth. So how does this ordinance work? First of all, at the Planning and Development Department, we're responsible for facilitating this process, and we review the projects when they come to us. And one of the first things we do is define the impact area. Important to note, the impact area includes at least the census tract or tracts where the project is located. You can see on the right here also that everyone in the impact area is mailed a notice for the first meetings of the Community Benefits Ordinance process for any particular project. So many of you who are here, if you live in the impact area, you would have received this a notice that looks just like this. The impact area is important because it is used to determine who can serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Council. We're going to talk about more about that in a moment, and who can vote to select 2 representatives to serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Council as well. I just want to take a moment to say, the CBO process is really set up, it's designed to focus on the impact area and the residents who live with the impact area and how this project is going to impact them. However, also important to note that the meetings are open to everyone. All Detroiters, even folks from outside Detroit, everyone's welcome to participate. Everyone's welcome to participate in public comment, to share their feedback. I know that the city takes all that very seriously. I know the developer does. I know the Neighborhood Advisory Council will as well. Just to kind of talk a little bit about the impact area for this project, you can see here the map that encompasses several neighborhoods around the stadium site. You can see in orange the stadium site kind of right up against the freeway of I-96 and I-75. But this impact area starts at the north at MLK Boulevard, to the east of the Lodge Freeway, to the south at the Detroit River, and to the west at West Grand Boulevard. The impact area includes over 5,000 residents. We mailed over 4,200 mail notices to those addresses that are available. And per the ordinance, the impact area is based on census tracts. So this project actually sits in 2 census tracts. So those 2 census tracts are completely included with the impact area, but also some neighboring census tracts as well, because from what we understand of the project, there will be impacts as well. Neighborhood Advisory Council, and this is an important part for people who are interested in this. So there are 9 members of the Neighborhood Advisory Council. 2 are selected by the residents of the impact area, and that'll be next week at this, in this very location. 3 are appointed by the council members I mentioned earlier, so your district representative in District 6 in this case, and the 2 at-large members. And then 4 are appointed by the Planning and Development Department. What does it mean to serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Council? How can you qualify? So first of all, there's eligibility. You have to be a resident of the impact area, as we mentioned before. You have to be at least 18 years of age. You cannot be an agent or employee or affiliate of the developer or a city department that's involved in this project. And you have to be nominated at the public CBO meeting next week. I'll just say, there's a very important, conflict of interest, and if you do want to serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Council, we do ask you to sign an affidavit attesting to your lack of a conflict of interest, involvement with the developer, if there's some sort of financial relationship. Duties of a Neighborhood Advisory Council member. So you must attend all the scheduled CBO meetings. You will be involved in helping to develop the impact list based on what your understanding of the project. You're going to review the Community Benefits Report that is written by Planning and Development at the end of this process. Once you come to an agreement, once the Neighborhood Advisory Council is in agreement on what the benefits package should look like, there would be a letter of consensus proposed community benefits. And then after the process, there is also compliance and monitoring and enforcement. So the Neighborhood Advisory Council is involved in that in terms of reviewing biannual compliance reports and participating in an annual update meeting. So just some kind of responsibilities and just kind of best practices. You cannot use this position for personal gain and have to declare any conflicts of interest. You're agreeing to represent your fellow residents as a member of the Neighborhood Advisory Council. You are going to be providing feedback about the project for the community. You're agreeing to work together with your fellow NAC members to make official recommendations that may mitigate negative impacts of the project. And you are serving an advisory role to the City of Detroit and City Council on how to best mitigate those impacts. So just to kind of give a big picture overview of the process, we're going to form the Neighborhood Advisory Council, 9 residents from the impact area. The Neighborhood Advisory Council is going to meet in these public meetings hosted by Planning and Development with the developer and the community to identify impacts. The Neighborhood Advisory Council is going to develop suggestions to identify impacts, and the developer is going to respond and propose solutions, mitigations, potential benefits. And at the end of that, the city and the developer are going to generate an agreement in response to the impacts that the Neighborhood Advisory Council can support. Just to break it down, that's kind of like high level, but then to break it down a little bit. So, this is about a 10-week public process. We're going to be meeting almost every week, every Thursday in this place, at this time, in this location. And this kind of gives you an idea of what that looks like as far as, what each meeting looks like. We're doing the introduction tonight. Next week, we're going to have impact area residents vote for the 2 NAC members, and we're going to have nominations of all the NAC members. A couple weeks after that, the first meeting of the Neighborhood Advisory Council, including a deep dive into the financials of this project. And then, we're really going to be looking to the NAC to help guide us in determining what are the impacts, developing that list, and working in dialogue with the developer to get to resolution and an agreement. So all in all, we might be looking at 8 public meetings, possibly 9, but it is quite a commitment for the community and also for the Neighborhood Advisory Council specifically. Just to bust some dates to those weeks right now, so we're here on August 21st. Next week, August 28th, we will have the nominations of all the NAC members. We'll talk more about that at the end of the meeting. We will have time for an orientation for those members and then come back September 11th. And then every Thursday, starting at September 11th through September, and then really all the way through the latter half of October, we'll be here meeting, talking about this project and working towards the Community Benefits Agreement. Once the Tier 1 meetings are completed, other things happen. As I mentioned before, the Neighborhood Advisory Council will sign a letter of support for the negotiated community benefits package if they're supporting it. Planning and Development is going to produce a report. All that's going to get submitted to Detroit City Council, and where they'll review it, and if they are also in support, they may vote to approve it. And then we'll enter into a monitoring and enforcement period where we talk about when I talked about the annual meetings and the compliance reports. Throughout the process, we'll make sure everything is updated on the website, all the documents, all the information, so that everyone can follow along whether you're here at the meeting or not. So, talking specifically about this project from our perspective, from the city's perspective, this is a Tier 1 project, and for a couple of reasons. One, they're proposing to spend nearly $192 million to construct a soccer stadium, parking, and housing around it. Two, they have indicated, the developer, the Detroit City Football Club, they're going to be seeking the City of Detroit tax abatements that are valued at more than $1 million. So there we have your Tier 1 project. In the mailer, one thing PDD does, Planning and Development, is that we start to look at the project and start to see what are some of the potential impacts. And this is really designed as a way to assist the NAC, to get them thinking about what they should be looking at. It's not necessarily everything that they can look at. It's not necessarily they won't necessarily look at all these things either. But so certainly, and I won't read through all of this because we have a long agenda, but construction is definitely something that folks will look at, and there's some specific concerns we've highlighted there. Site design of vehicular traffic, there are some concerns and also some exciting opportunities we've identified there. Accessibility, mobility, and traffic. Again, there's that's probably going to be something that people are very interested to talk about, and Planning and Development agrees. Employment opportunities. There's always employment opportunities that come along with these projects. It's important to talk about that. Housing and retail. There is a housing component of this project, and 76 units. And I'll let the team talk more about those details, but that's something we're very interested in. And also sustainability and environment. The city takes sustainability very seriously, and we are interested in both the opportunities and concerns there. So, how are we doing on time? Right on time, actually, even with the food. That's amazing. So, even though we got a little late start, I would like to take about 5 minutes to see if people have some questions specifically about the process. So, not about the project yet. And yes, please, if you have a question, you're here in the room, you'd like to ask a question, we'll give people 1 minute and 30 for those questions. Please come up to my left, so you're right. Ms. Figueroa is there and ready to, if anyone would like to come up and ask a question, that's great. And also, we'll afford the same opportunity to the Zoom audience as well. If we can bring up the timer, I would appreciate it. Okay, so we have 1 minute 30, so please go ahead with the first question.
Thanks so much.
Let's see if we can make sure that mic is on.
This is chord lists, ready for karaoke.
All right.
My name's Rachel. I live in Hubbard Farms, just across the back of pedestrian bridge from here. In terms of process-based questions, I'm curious about the impact area. So the city has acknowledged that stadium impacts based on the impact area will stretch almost 1.5 miles in some directions, including to the south and the east. We're stretching all the way almost over to the southwest corner past corridor over to Cobo and along the West Riverfront. Yet neighborhoods like Hubbard Farms, my neighborhood, and other central southwest residential areas, including residential blocks around Clark Park, less than half a mile away from the stadium, were excluded. So I'm curious what specific data or criteria the Planning and Development Department used to draw those boundaries. Specifically, that Census Tract 9853 is an economic opportunity zone that's designed to prioritize investment. I'm curious why that was prioritized when dense residential neighborhoods closer to the stadium were left out.
Sure, thank you, appreciate the question. So as I mentioned, we're guided primarily when drawing the impact area by the census tracts. First, that the project is located in, so we know there are 2 census tracts, numbers of them right now, but the one basically representing historic Corktown, I think people are familiar with, and the one representing Hubbard Richard. Strategy on both sides of the freeway are included. Additionally, we know that traffic routing for this project is predicted to largely, besides the freeways, go along Agley to the east of the freeway and also Rosa Parks. So potentially going along some of those other adjacent census tracts that I think that you mentioned there. Even though, population is one thing where some areas are less densely populated, but we know that people do live along those routes, and we want to make sure that if those are designated egress routes out of for stadium events, that we want to make sure that people are represented there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Hi, Richard Nardo, living Michigan Avenue at 18th Street. We also have Old Western Market come visit us on Friday and Saturday. My questions are the same as hers. It seems asymmetrical, the amount of land that's being utilized for the impact zone, and it's really weighted towards historic Corktown. So all the other areas are not going to have enough people to get anybody on the NAC and voting. So I suggest that we have the council members that there should be one representative from historic Corktown at least, Western Corktown, Hubbard Richard, and Southwest, so that we will have their input in terms of what we need to do. So I am asking that should be done by the elected officials, so we don't have to worry about asymmetry and the population being more dense on one side than the other side. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Absolutely. I think everyone I know the community, I know the council members, I know planning and development, we do look at all of that kind of when considering the members of the Neighborhood Advisory Council. And it's really important that we also have nominees. All right, we got one more in person, and while that's coming up, if we have anyone on Zoom, let me know.
Hi, my name is Joe. I'm a resident of Hubbard Richard, and I also noticed the same asymmetry as other neighborhood residents have. It seems worthwhile to notice that, from what I've gathered, the largest bridge in North America is being built just to the west over there and represents a real opportunity to enhance the footprint and input of the program. Maybe worth considering the western thruways because of all of that development that's already going on, and an opportunity to synergize with that and integrate your plans instead of kind of doing the same disjointed thing we've seen done in development all over Detroit.
Okay. You're speaking of the Gordon Halbers.
Oh, you've heard of it?
Yeah. I have.
I thought it'd be cool to, it's fascinating the weight that holds and then doesn't hold on a map, right? Like, that really dense project is to the west where all the asymmetry the past 2 people have noted, and myself as well, and I think we're all going to continue to note it over time.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the comment. Okay, do we have any questions on Zoom?
Yes, we do. We have Stephen Howard.
Okay, go ahead and take yourself off mute.
Stephen Howard, you may.
I'm not actually to ask a question about the project itself.
Okay, we're going to defer that to after they get the project presentation. I think at this point we're going to.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I think we're going to move on to the next part, though. Okay, we'll have more Q&A afterwards. Well,
It relates directly to the last question.
we'll have a second set. Well, and you can ask all the process questions then too. So,
I'm just interested in when residents who aren't involved in the impact area can have their comments be publicly heard. Could you at some point address
Sure.
that structured opportunity of those things?
Yeah, so there's going to be public comment at every single meeting, including tonight. We have two sessions of public comment tonight. There will be at least one, so every meeting. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it over now to Sean Mann from Detroit City Football Club. Thank you for the questions, though.
Well, thank you everybody for making it out here tonight. I appreciate the commitment to being engaged in this process. This is an exciting moment for us and for the DCFC Club. It's fun looking out here at the audience and seeing many old friends, old neighbors, people who have been a part of this amazing journey going back to 2010, right? And so we're finally here at this point. I think this is one of the most remarkable stories in American soccer, and I think it's something that could only happen here in the city of Detroit. And we're here at a place where a group of guys, a group of friends who started this team a while back, with not a lot of money and over beers, bars on Michigan Avenue, are now being the first sports team with the owners building a stadium in their own neighborhood. And so we appreciate you being a part of this process. Aaron mentioned, this is just overview, but all this will be available on this CBO website. That's me. 14 years ago, I got designated to be the guy to speak, and here I am all these years later, getting to enjoy all of this. But as several of you in the room know, I've lived in the neighborhood since 2009. I'm a few blocks over on West Grand. Started this team with a couple other guys here in the room. Todd, who lives over in Bagley. Alex used to live on Cochran until a couple years ago, and then moved to Lafayette Park. We don't hold that against them. But there's a group of guys who felt that Detroit needed a team. And so here I am. I'll be the one engaging on the CBO process here on Thursday nights for the next few months. So appreciate you guys being here. These were the pillars of our club that we set out a few years ago, just trying to encapsulate who we are, what we've been doing all this time. Our focus is on the city of Detroit. That's why it's called Detroit City FC. If Detroit has a soccer team, it should be rooted here in Detroit. Our core principles is being accessible, both personally but also financially, and I think that's key to who we are. We've been ingrained in the community. We've seen this soccer team as more than just a sports team, an opportunity to a platform to lift up others. And also, it's a sports team, we're committed to winning. We have to be committed to winning, right? So that's a key. I've done this spiel many times over the years, but City reminded me, it's a good opportunity just to reiterate our story. As several of you in the room know, as a kind of a community organizing effort and a way to meet neighbors, I started a neighborhood soccer league, adult, recreational, very, very recreational. And the idea was it's neighborhood-based. And actually the first neighborhoods to get organized were Hubbard Farms, and Courtown, and Mexican Town, Southwest. And 11 neighborhoods started out back in 2010. And that league has carried on since very day. And countless friendships, now marriages. But people have met so many other people through that project. And part of that was I got to know a group of other guys. There's 3 guys who were on the Courtown team. And again, a couple of beers on Michigan Avenue, some beer bars. We had the idea that Detroit deserved to have a team, and we were inspired by friends and others who were starting small businesses at the time. And we each chipped in $2,200, which was enough to buy a lawnmower, a set of kits, and to rent a few hours of time at Cass Tech. And that was how we started the team back in 2012. And from the very beginning, it was very much community-oriented, fan-oriented, and trying to create something fun and unique. And an amazing community rallied around this club and has been growing it ever since. And we found a few years in, we filled up Cass Tech. We needed a larger home, a home that had a wider field that people actually, other teams would play on. And so we took We took advantage of an opportunity to work with Hamtramck Schools to save historic Hero Stadium, and we've made it into one of the most special venues in American soccer. But we've always been renters there. It's not a permanent home for us, and it's not a place where we can continue to grow and truly be, the soccer team, the team that represents the world sport in the great American city. That progression of this club, I think a key milestone was actually in 2018. At that point, we only had 3 full-time staff, and we rented and rehabbed the old city sports rink there on East Lafayette across from MLK High School. And at that point, we got a Motor City Match Grant. I can't remember if it was 40,000, 50,000. We only had 3 full-time employees at the time. Fast forward today, we now have 58 full-time employees, and I'm proud to say 30 of them are City of Detroit residents. And so there's been a tremendous growth, and one that we take a lot of pride in. And it's gotten to this point today where our men's team is fully professional. We play in the USL Championship. That's the level just below Major League Soccer. Our games are all nationally televised and locally televised. We have a women's team. We have over 4,000 kids across Metro Detroit that play under DCFC, and I'm very proud to say that over 500 of them play for our in-house program, our city youth program geared towards kids in the city, and that's the only pay what you can afford model. So it's a sliding scale. We rewarded over $125,000 in scholarships to make soccer accessible for kids here in the city to play travel soccer. If you go to our games, you buy a ticket, you'll see there's a $1 fee. We're the only team that applies a $1 fee to our tickets, and that goes to our scholarship fund. It's kind of core to who we are. We're committed to growing the game here in the city of Detroit. Back in 21, we launched what is now a national initiative, partnership with Four Soccer Ventures, called the Black Star Initiative, trying to address stigmas around soccer and grow the game in the African American community. So that started out as a weekend festivities, that still goes to stay. We had over 300 kids typically participating every year, but now that's grown into year-round engagement and partnership with Detroit Public Schools. With our women's team, we regularly do pregame clinics geared towards girls, and then that neighborhood soccer league for the adults is still going strong, and community service is still one of the key components of that. It's still bringing together a lot of people here in the city. So us being a club that tries to use our club as a platform to raise others, ever since 2014, we've always done a special match where we wear a special kit featuring a charity here in the city. Primarily, we focus on charities that are city-specific, city Detroit-specific, and what I would say are largely unheralded, certainly from a regional perspective. So very proud to have worked with Rosales Center back in 2014. Now that's an annual partnership that's raised over $250,000 for them. Others like the people of Detroit, Brilliant Detroit, Housing Coalition, Freedom House. These are all organizations that we've partnered with over the years to highlight using our platform. I'm a proud DPSCD parent with 2 boys who go to school here in the neighborhood, and it's been a real pleasure working with the school district, again, trying to create opportunities for kids to play soccer more. So 3 years ago, we launched an indoor off-season league for DPS teams, free of charge, thanks to help of our sponsors, just to give kids in the city more opportunities to play, more touches, and the kind of exposure that the kids in the suburbs get with their paid to play kind of clubs that they have access to. When we were at Cass Tech, we were one of the first venues in the city to have licensed food trucks. It was out of necessity because Cass Tech didn't have the infrastructure. But it really is, I think, and that's a tradition that's carried on to this day. And I think that's a representation that we've come out of the small business community here in the city, and it's kind of core to who we are, and something that's guiding this project and we'll talk about as we look to build out the stadium and 20th Street. Again, winning, because winning helps everything. So we set a record at 21-20 for the longest undefeated streak in American professional soccer history. Won several trophies. We beat several MLS teams over the years in Open Cup. Our women's team made the national semifinals last year, and we've had an amazing opportunity to develop a great international reputation, and so we've had a lot of fun hosting top-level international teams from across the country or from across the world, from Mexico, Germany, Italy, Ireland, and we're very excited for the new venue because it'll only allow us to host even bigger and more notable clubs in a proper facility. And with that exposure, as I was mentioning, every game, we are now one of the most televised teams in American soccer, with regularly every game's on ESPN Plus, but several games every year picked up on CBS National, or ESPN2, or ESPN, or CBS Sports, as well as every game locally broadcast. And we're in an amazing moment for soccer. And our drivers here are several fold, but one of them is the fact that this is a growth period for the game. I joke that soccer is America's next big sport for the last 50 years, but it's finally taking root in many ways. And you're seeing participation up. Next year we have a seminal moment in the World Cup coming back to the United States. It'll be the world's largest sporting event ever. And that's segueing into greater infrastructure investment in the game. So what we're seeing even at our level in USL is investments very similar to what we're proposing. Louisville, several years ago, 3 years ago, opened up a 13,000 seat stadium. Pawtucket, Rhode Island FC just opened up in May, their own 11,000 seat stadium. And earlier this week, Sacramento Republic broke ground on their own stadium. And similarly, some projects similar to ours have just been proposed in the last month in Tampa and Pittsburgh. So this is an amazing growth period for the game, and one that frankly, we're one of the largest cities in America that not have a soccer-specific stadium. So this is a moment that's overdue. The project team, who's bringing this to fruition? For the architect, we have hired HOK. They're one of the world's leaders in stadium design. They are currently doing the New York City FC Stadium in Queens. They recently completed the Energizer Park, the MLS Stadium in St. Louis. And they've also done several NFL stadiums, including Atlanta Falcons Mercedes Stadium. Very excited to build out a broader team, incorporating Detroit contractors and Detroit firms, as well as minority-owned firms. And I just opportunity, I'd like to introduce one of our great partners, and Jesse Venegas.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Venegas, part of the family ownership of Ideal Group. I'm also president of the Ideal Group companies. Today, I wanted to just kind of give you a little bit of background on who Ideal is. Obviously, we're a Detroit-based firm. We moved down here in the early 90s. This is why this project kind of speaks to us, as well as kind of who our company is. We, with 4 other companies, moved businesses down here in the 90s. Set up shop in the old GM Cadillac facility, helped renovate that facility. We remediated a brownfield site, took down an old wastewater treatment plant, and we did this right next to a residential neighborhood. So today we operate, our campus has over 250 employees on it today. We have about 500 direct employees and about 500 union trades currently working for our company. Still headquartered here, and to be that way, we've been in business for 47 years. And some of our experience working in the sports, we do mostly industrial construction, power plants, automotive facilities, but we have a significant amount of entertainment experience. We did a lot of steel at Ford Field, America Park. We did the outbuildings at LCA. We did the Via roof at LCA as well. And we just did a remodel at the University of Tennessee, did a lot of structural reinforcing there. And last summer, if anybody's a Michigan fan, we were the general contractor on putting the 2 brand new scoreboards in the ground. So it's really exciting for us to be able to continue to grow and build on our experience in entertainment construction. We have worked with HOK in the past. We have a really great team that we've been involved about a year now with Giffords and GMA and KTGY and WSP. We've had a really good beginning around planning, putting things together, but at the same time trying to figure out what's the next step. How do we create a new benchmark in stadium construction, not just in how you build the building, but the process you go through. How do you include the neighborhood? It means a lot to us. If you know our company, our community means everything to us. We found that as a cultural alignment. And when Sean started talking with our company initially about, hey, would you be interested in being a part of this? Well, number one, I'm a football fan. I said, hell yeah. I've been going to the games for years, and it was really, really exciting on how you go to the games, and it's a community experience. We had also been a sponsor in the last 2 years, bringing the Pumas, as well as bringing Los Santos here. So we're really proud to see what they're doing here in Detroit and how DCFC operates. It means a lot to us. We're a relationship company. And so we started looking at, well, what's the benchmark? And Sean and his team have really high standards of how they want to build it, how they want to include the community, how do we do it the right way, how do we create a new standard going forward. And so we're really excited to be a part of this. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the development, but and you know, please, we'll be here the whole time. I will be at every one of these meetings, and if there's anything you need, you can come talk to me or my team at any point in time. Thank you.
No, really appreciate Jesse and the whole Ideal family. You know, they've been huge employers, investors in Southwest Detroit for a long time. Have a sterling reputation in the community, with residents, with unions, with local officials, and so incredibly excited to have them as a neighbor and a key part of the team here. Just now jumping into the overview of the project. This is a one-pager that was handed out. So the headline, obviously, is the stadium, $150 million price tag. Jesse and I are going to hold to that. And capacity is 15,000. Why 15,000? That's the standard set by U.S. Soccer for Division I sanctioning. So our league, USL, is launching in 28, a first division, same level as Major League Soccer. And so to be eligible for that, our venue needs to have a 15,000 seat capacity. You know, the primary use for the stadium will be for DCFC and for other soccer-related events, but also, you know, we want to program and activate it as much as we can that makes sense. So we would be using it for American football, looking for select concerts here and there to make sure that, you know, it's an active project. The included, as Aaron was mentioning, in the project is a $42 million parking deck wrapped with housing. And included in that along 20th Street, both between the parking deck and the East Grandstand Stadium, would be 16,000 square feet of retail that would be outward facing. So the idea that it's that's open 365, that, you know, what we want to accomplish here, and I'll talk a bit more about it, is really using 20th Street as a bridge connecting Michigan Avenue, the commercial corridor of Michigan Avenue, and Verner, and tying together all the positivity in Corktown, both on the big scale and on the smaller scale, along with all the positivity happening in Mexican Town. And taking, you know, one of the most blighted properties, or most prominent blighted properties in the city, and turning it into a positive. A key component of the project here is how we approach this from day one, that this is a privately owned, privately financed project, and that, you know, we would be the only pro team in the city and really in the state that pays property taxes. So, you know, for over the last couple generations, you know, stadiums have been developed typically in public, quasi-public entities, whether that's a state authority or DDA across the country, and you know, we recognize where public sentiment is on that as city residents, so that's a key component to it. Now, the reason we are here is because we do, to make the whole project work, are seeking tax abatements under the Commercial Rehabilitation Act, but to help make the project pencil, to make the investment viable. But, you know, for us, it's key that this is a privately owned project that actually contributes to the tax rolls of the city. The site that we are talking about is the stadium being focused on the Old Southwest Hospital, as well as land that we have acquired south of the railroad tracks on Standish. And so this is the focal point of the CBO process. Looking at the development site, here's laying out the stadium. It's a unique site. It is a tight site. That lends itself in the imagery I'll show, but like it's very vertical. So our inspirations are both the kind of the aesthetics and feel of Old Tiger Stadium, as well as classic English and European soccer stadiums with the separate grandstands. Given the triangular aspect of the site and some easements that exist on it, the stadium sets south, closer to the railroad tracks, and then to really make 20th Street more welcoming, we have a parking deck there, both to suit our needs with existing demand for parking on Michigan Avenue on non-match days, but to make that 20th Street more welcoming and to contribute to the neighborhood, we are wrapping that parking deck with housing, affordable housing units to be the entry point to 20th Street. And I will go, this is, as I keep getting reminded, this is an overview, so look forward to going into greater details and all the fun elements of the stadium, but there's 4 principal grandstands. It's that east grandstand, the one facing 20th, that will have the outward facing retail. So this is the fun rendering. This is showing you the view if you're to the west and you're looking down Michigan Avenue. So in the foreground, you have our west grandstand. That's a grandstand that has everything Keyworth doesn't have. Bathrooms, locker rooms, a press box that doesn't have raccoons in it, all the things that our beloved current venue doesn't have. And the north grandstand is a vision for a family grandstand, and then the east grandstand. So we are the only team in North America that puts its supporters, the folks who stand and sing and chant, we're the only ones who put our supporters at midfield, right there on the, some of the most premium seats in the stadium. For us, they're the most accessible and affordable seats, because those folks are the ones who sing and dance and bring the atmosphere to the stadium. To the left there, that's showing the parking deck, 421 car parking deck wrapped with the 76 units of housing. This is a view looking down 20th Street, so this would be closer to Michigan Avenue, and you're looking down 20th Street, you can see in the distance there the Vassar Bridge, and make sure the render included the Gordie Howe Bridge as well. Let's give some love there. So to the right here, you see a plaza that would be separating the parking deck and the stadium that we see being active year-round. And then what's symbolizing here as well is that we envision that the 20th Street would be closed prior to and immediately after the games from the viaduct, so from Newark up to Michigan Avenue, just to allow the most ease of traffic and enough security and space. But then also on non-match days, it allows the East Grandstand to be situated as close to 20th Street as possible to kind of create that density and urban wall. Because an overarching goal of ours is to create a stadium that doesn't feel like a spaceship that's dropped in the middle of nowhere and it's set back. Like, we want to contribute to the fabric of the neighborhood and place it into a very urban context. This is an example of what that west, main grandstand looks like. We've come a long way from Cass Tech, to say the least. This is a little bit more about the housing. This would be at Michigan Avenue looking at 20th. 76 units of housing, AMI between 40 and 80%, all affordable within that range, at 60 AMI projected, and then the parking deck would have 421 spaces. This is the timeline that we're working from. In July, earlier this spring, City Council approved our brownfield plan for the demolition and initial cleanup work of the Southwest Hospital. There ended up being 1.4 million gallons of water in the basement, as several people know from neighborhood lore. That had forever chemicals in it, so that led to a process of cleaning it up. And so the water's now all been filtered and dumped. So we just on Monday and today had all the demo crews coming out, and bids are in next week. So once the bids are in, looking forward to moving forward with the demolition of the hospital. Here we are with the CBO engaging. Our goal working through this process is to get the public approvals done by year's end, so that we can start going vertical with construction beginning of next year, with a timeline of being open for our season in 2027. One of the things, as somebody who's lived in the neighborhood for a really long time, one of the things we're very excited with is with this parcel in particular, is the opportunity to take a non-functioning blighted parcel and to bridge two great Detroit neighborhoods, regional destinations in Porttown, Habershard, Mexican Town, through a new commercial corridor. the renovation of Roselle Park is amazing, but I think there's something to be said by continuing that commercial corridor down Michigan, down 20th, and connecting to Verner. And so that's something that's top of mind for us, and something that leads to how we're approaching this. So we want folks to come, both in the neighborhood, to come and enjoy the stadium, as well as this being a regional draw, right? And so it's important, and we've hired our consultants to come up with a parking and traffic study that we'll be going through in depth here in the process. But our focal point is, the city has an ordinance in terms of required parking spots. We're at a point with the land that we've acquired, our partnerships that we have, that we are beyond that, and we're looking to go even further beyond that with continued conversations we have to make sure that, people get in and out with ease, and that we're respectful. We've had a lot of conversations over the last year with neighbors. We understand concerns both ways when it comes to parking, and also traffic flow. That we're creating, we're getting to the point where we want parking to satisfy the demand for the game, but also be respectful of the neighborhood. That none of us really want to be surrounded by city parking lots. And one of the things about soccer is games are like 2 hours. So a fan survey we did of DCFC fans, 81% of fans regularly go to a bar or restaurant in Hamtramck before or after a game, right? So we want to work with the business on Michigan Avenue, the business in Southwest, to make sure the folks are coming in and enjoying themselves. Now, looking at comparable stadium sites across the country, even larger MLS stadiums that we're using as benchmarks, a great thing about the site is that we actually have 4 highway exits. There's very few MLS stadiums in similar car-centric cities that most only have 1, some don't even have any. So we're working with and we're presenting a plan to get people in and out, but ideally we're getting people to come in and enjoy the neighborhood and make an evening of it or an afternoon of it when they come to a DCFC game. Similar to this, also part of the conversation is 15 to 20% of the DCFC ticket buyers are City of Detroit residents, which is actually pretty astronomical compared to other teams. And the bulk of them live in the greater downtown area. So part of that is green infrastructure as well as ride sharing to get away from car-centric focus as much as is feasible when it comes to implementation. The Southwest Detroit site, hospital site, I have to admit, I lived in the neighborhood in 2008, 2009, and it's been empty and blighted for so long. I think a lot of us are used to it, you just become numb to it. And so it really wasn't until we started looking at state site that I started appreciating the actual history of it. And it has a rich history from its origins, as being a key hospital started by a group of African American doctors, and having a significant role in the city. And that's something that we've been working with some of the actual families of some of the founding doctors. And this conversation we're glad and look forward to having about how we capture that origins of the hospital and its history and legacy here. The reality of where we're at right now, obviously, it has not had good stewards over the last couple of decades, and this is the condition that we inherited it in. And actually, that's not the worst picture of it. That's not what it looks like right now. We are looking forward to having an opportunity to take this building and turn it into this. Something that complements this neighborhood, something that's a regional draw, but something also that supports the people around here day in, day out, 365. This is just an idea of what it looks like on the inside. Again, we'd be putting soccer in here, but also design a way to host American football, other sporting events. And then on several occasions a year, we would look to have concerts in the facility as well. And this is looking at 20th Street, working with our landscape architects at Chino to make this, again, a welcoming space year-round on match days, but every day. So that East Grandstand, that's the outward-facing retail. And our goal and intent would be to have independent local businesses in there. We haven't talked to Kid Rock yet about his restaurant, so that's not our style. But here is it showing, again, it being closed on match days between the Viaduct and 20th Street, just to allow a plaza for security purposes, but also flow and ease of access. But also so that on match days we can have that retail component as close to 20th as possible. And similarly, this is the space on the north side of the stadium, envisioning a plaza with retail there on the south side of the parking deck and housing structure, creating a space that's welcoming, not just on match days, but any day. And this is what we're working towards, and we appreciate that's a general overview, and we look forward to working with you all over the next 9 weeks to get that feedback. And our goal is to create something that reflects and resonates with this neighborhood and the broader city. So appreciate your involvement here.
All right, thank you so much, Sean. Excuse me. And for that great overview. I think hopefully you found it very enlightening and informative and started to answer some of the questions I know people have about this project. But at this point, we are going to open it up to questions both about the project. If you have other questions about the CBO process, we can entertain those as well. If we can go ahead and bring the timer back up. If people have questions, I would ask you to please form a queue over to my left, your right, and also for those who are on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We'll get to you as well. So please don't be shy. I know people have questions. We will do our best to provide answers. Okay, we're ready with the timer? Yes, please.
Yes, Sean, I'm not clear what it is. If you travel down Michigan Avenue, what is going to be facing Michigan Avenue? Is it a parking deck? Is it the stadium? It's not clear for me from your pictures.
Can you hear me on this mic? Yeah. So, sorry, I can't see which image is on the screen.
It's a timer right now.
Oh, okay.
We can cut the timer out.
No, the timer's important. So, yeah, if you're on Michigan Avenue, when you're looking down is you would see the north side of the housing ramp. The parking deck for airflow would be exposed on the west side, so facing 75, 96. But that north side, east side, and south side of the parking deck would be wrapped with modular housing. And so that's what you're going to be seeing. The way it's set, again, it's a unique site we're dealing with, but the stadium is set further down on the parcel. So, it's viewable by the freeways, but it wouldn't necessarily be viewable directly from Michigan Avenue.
Okay, that's clear. The other question I had quickly, you said something about multi-transportation in terms of you working with people in the community. Well, as you know, Western Corktown is a big problem. We haven't been consulted. No one's spoken to us. We have, I have the idea of the Corktown shuttle. Why have we not been spoken to in relationship to that? Are you talking to the people down west of us? But we have the biggest problem. We have no other parking, so please include us in that conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to go bring time back up and we will go ahead and actually before you start, I want to mention there are comment cards. If you wrote down a question and you have that and you'd like that to be, asked from written question, we'll have some come hold it up, we'll have someone come and collect it and bring it up here. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Russ from the Northpine neighborhood area. And I was looking just at the images here, and I see that your plans for parking for the tenants and the fans are 421 spaces. After you take care of the tenants, there's about 300 spaces for fans, but you're seating 15,000. So, and I did see some small other parking areas. What is your parking plan when you're surrounded by freeways like that? Where is everybody going to be parking?
Yeah, so I know in the MAC process, we're going to talk to the city. I think the fourth meeting we'll bring in our consultants, go a deep dive. But so, as the slide says, the current zoning or ordinance for the city is for every 6 spots, for every 6 seats in the stadium, there's supposed to be 1 parking spot. So that's 2,500. So yeah, we have the parking deck, and you know, 76 of those units of the 420 would be set aside for the housing, and the rest would be for the stadium. But as we mentioned, we've been acquiring land actually between here and the railroad tracks, as well as we've been entering into partnerships with various property owners around here to use their land for parking on match days. So we're already at a point where we have over 2,600 spots, and we're working to build on that. And that's ordinance, but it's also in line with looking at several MLS stadiums in similar neighborhoods and car-centric cities. And so, we're very eager to have that conversation and find solutions with neighbors on that.
Great, thank you for the question. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I live in Upper Bouchard in the impact area. I know meeting 3, we're going to be doing a deep dive on the project financing, but are you able to tell us a little bit more tonight about what public tax abatements you're seeking outside of the brownfield and what that's going to go to?
Yeah, so again, DGC will do their full assessment analysis, give the numbers on it, but the Commercial Rehabilitation Act, PA 210 and PA 255, apply to both the parking deck and the stadium. And then the housing is a LIHTC, process, so it's condoed out and be separate. So, but those are the tax abatements that we're seeking. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go to the next attendee.
Hi, my name is Bill Cheek from North Corktown. I thought the greatest day in the history of Corktown was the day they demolished the old nuisance stadium at Michigan and Trumbull. So here we go again with another obnoxious nuisance driving down the value of our neighborhood. That's perfectly in keeping with how planning views all the residents of North Corktown as invisible peasants who don't deserve a voice in how our community is developed. So I noticed our invisible neighborhood wasn't even considered on the photo of the parking zones. Are you guys kidding? We're going to have the same negative impact as the old Tiger Stadium did. In this case, the flow of people will be over the 17th Street pedestrian overpass, who'll park in our neighborhood, create a public nuisance, and bring more crime. Let me ask, is this a final design? This isn't going to change, correct?
Are you talking about the design of the stadium?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing listening sessions with fans. I mean, the structure of it's pretty set, but I mean, various elements of it are going to be modified between now and 27. But in terms of parking, yeah, I mean, we're glad to have that conversation, and work with the neighbors on how to make it work.
So I'm just asking if the neighbors insisted on a solar canopy over the top floor of that giant hot oven parking structure, or vertical vegetative panels to reduce urban heating, that's probably not going to happen. I've got another question. Has anyone from DCFC scheduled informational or engagement meetings with the residents in North Corktown at any point in the planning or architectural design process?
I unfortunately missed the last summer meeting for a family commitment. I know I'm coming out on September 2nd, but I've had conversations with leadership, and I'm looking forward to being there in a couple of weeks for your quarterly meeting.
So how many event days are projected per year?
So DCFC itself will be having 22 games, 17 to 18 men's games and 5 to 6 women's games, probably 1 international friendly a year, 3 to 8 concert days at most, and then probably 5 to 6 American football games a year. So all told, we're looking to 30 to 35 event days a year of varying scale.
So you guys have claimed to want to foster an equitable, inclusive process, but you came to our peaceful neighborhood with your soccer stadium to do what you want to do in spite of all the negative impacts.
Thank you. Thank you.
You would never ask any of us if
That's your time. Thank you.
We don't.
Aaron, honestly, a minute and a half is not nearly enough time to
We're gonna
express
have
our opinions when we have a neighborhood that's been ignored and rendered invisible by everything planning has been doing. Don't touch me.
Thank you. Next person, thank you.
Roberto Garza. I live on 23rd, right directly behind the beautiful stainless structure of the old hospital. I was just wondering, where'd you guys get the name from for the stadium? Is that a paid name for the stadium, or how was it selected?
Yeah, so that's the Stephen James Alumni Field. You know, for the, you know, we're tremendously appreciative of Alumni investing in the stadium to make it a reality. You know, we don't have a billionaire backer behind us, so for us to be able to finance and make this a reality, like we've had to have corporate partners step up and invest and make it, you know, feasible.
Who is that company though?
Alumni is an online portal, online platform for MSU Federal Credit Union.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Deborah. I live in the southwest area. What's going to happen to the west side from the freeway towards West Grand Boulevard? Is anything going to be constructed over that area?
Is there anything going to be constructed west of the freeway?
So it's, sorry, from 75 to West Grand?
Yes, over that direction on the west side, Hubbard Farms area.
No, we don't have any plans to build anything over there.
Okay, I was just wondering. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I wanted you to speak more to the equitable value beyond property taxes that you're planning to give back to this community and culture of school systems. And what is your view on sustainable long-term goals for the impact or the return on the investment for our community in environmental aspects? We're speaking about the Opportunity Zone census tracts and how has that been used for capital gains over these years that it's been implemented? And then please speaking to the option for the owner to desert the responsibility, like that one building or infrastructure you say that was historically was torn down or deserted in our community. How can we guarantee that those accountabilities from these private investors will have an exit strategy that will leave this community in the red again?
If I understand your question, I think you're speaking to what will be some of the benefits that come out of this process.
Yeah, beyond the property taxes.
Beyond the property,
We're thinking about
yes.
long term, what else is going to add value to the impact from the environmental aspects for one, and have we gotten any feasibility reports in that conclusions, and then as to the historical disenfranchisement of this community here, not just Southwest, Northwest, all over at large Detroit, we have not gained and we have lost. What we're looking at right now,
Sure.
what would be the exit strategy?
Okay,
And
thank you
will
for-
that, endorse our community value or uplift it?
Thank you for clarifying the question. So I'll start and then I'll hand it off to Sean. So this process is about establishing those particular benefits. So I can't say, well, it's going to be X, Y, Z right now here today. We're going to form a neighborhood advisory council. That's going to be the discussion. So your voice is going to be important to that, I can tell. Absolutely. As far as I think the long-term plans for the stadium, I think there's a question about, what's your commitment to staying in the stadium if they get your building and that they don't turn into another situation like what happened at Southwest Hospital?
Yeah, I mean, so I heard several things there. From an environmental perspective, we appreciate, we want to be a plus positive for the community, and we're looking at ways to from water retention to energy efficiencies to make it, a top line facility. OZ money, there hasn't been any OZ money, in the capital stack at this point for the project, or do I see that happening? And in terms of relationships with the schools, my kids go to Detroit Public Schools. I'm a proud parent there. Zealot of public schools, we have a great relationship with Dr. Eddy and his administration, and we've been doing regular after-school clinics for years. We launched the league for the high school teams, helping them get varsity soccer back in Detroit schools. And that's one of the things that I'm glad to have a conversation when it comes to community benefits. what we're doing and encapsulating, our youth outreach and making sure this is a facility that's, welcoming and a home for kids here in the city. We build this as our forever home. So this is a place that we want to create memories for generations to come, and that's in the design of it, and kind of why we're moving forward with this project.
Thank you. All right, next.
Hi, I'm Alex. I live in North Yorktown. I know you're somewhat limited on the amount of transport options that can get you to the stadium, and you're looking at parking structures and parking spaces like that. Just wondering what your idea of how many bike racks you might be installing, and just anything else that could help get here.
We haven't put a finite number on it, but just going back to our Cast Tech days when we had 3,000 people, we regularly have 100 bikes at a game, right? And so I think we'll blow that out of the water given the scale and given the fact that like 15 to 20% of our fans are coming from kind of the greater downtown city center. Both bike racks immediately adjacent to the stadium to be accessible for retail, but then also looking at bike valet at sites further away, so it's easier for people to bike in and out and then have to navigate traffic. So that's part of the green infrastructure plan, as well as identifying ride-sharing locations so that people can get in and out of the campus as easy as possible.
Thank you. All right, we have another question here.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Sean. I've played in some of the things on stage. I've played in the DCFL. I've played at the field house. I'm your target audience, right? I'm a huge fan. I'm loud. I want to go to these things. I'm also a community member who wants to access the field. I think the biggest thing that y'all can offer that would sucker everybody in the first place, let the kids use it. Are there plans to let our local non-professional players use this, aka our kids, our older adults? DCFL has played at the field house and at Fort Wayne, and I no longer play in either of those leagues because those fields suck and I get hurt at them, and I'm not the only one who shares that. It would be really great to have a top quality field for our communities to play on and not pretend as if, or rather perpetuate the idea that millionaires or billionaires, not that soccer players are like that, but the best stadiums, right, or for, in the past have been for very high value, expensive, inaccessible stuff. I think this represents an opportunity to make a high elite stadium available to us, our regular old city residents. Are there plans for that, or has that been something that you've considered in the development process for this?
So, accessibility is one of our core values, right? We're also at a point where, we're at a level of soccer where I'm excited that, if you asked me a year ago, I would have said, yes, we're gonna have AstroTurf, and we have the top line AstroTurf, and it'll be open all the time. But also, we're now at a point of level of soccer where we have to have grass, right? And so there's durability issues with grass. So I'm, glad to be in this process talking about accessibility, but also being mindful that there's limits on how much grass can be used, right? So especially top level professional grass, right? So I feel we will be a private venue that will be far more accessible than the publicly owned stadiums in this town. But through this process, we'll talk about what access looks like, right?
Yeah, as a voice of the community, I can tell you we all want to play on the Lions field and we don't get to. Be the first one to give us the chance. I dare you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we have another question here in the audience, and then we'll see if anyone's on Zoom as well. Please.
Just in terms of the impact area, we've heard a couple of impacts being discussed already this evening in terms of visitors wanting to enjoy local bars and restaurants that are likely to be outside of the Mexican town area proper, as well as a lot of concerns about parking. I'm curious, so is the impact zone itself designed to delimit the impacts of the stadium, or is it designed to represent the community negotiating for benefits with the developer?
Great question. I think it's a little bit of both. I think obviously it defines who is able to serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Council, and I think largely we look to address the impacts that are closest in to the project within the impact area. However, if the Neighborhood Advisory Council sees that there's other things that they want to address that may fall outside, then that's definitely going to be part of the conversation.
So the NAC then is empowered to negotiate benefits that address broader impacts than just the impact area, is that correct?
Yes, they are empowered to, however, we do try to keep the focus on the impact area.
Great. In the past, some CBAs have left benefits rather vague or somewhat voluntary in terms of what the developer actually has to agree to and what's enforced. Is it possible for the CBA to negotiate enforceability as a clause or an agreement of the benefits agreement?
First, I would say all the CBAs, at least since I've been here in the city, are very specific and don't have that kind of vagueness built in, I would say, so yes.
I know that there were some issues with Stellantis and air quality issues not being enforced. Could you speak a little bit more to exactly how promises that aren't delivered on are enforced?
Sure, I can speak a little bit to that. We have a process laid out in the ordinance as far as how complaints can be addressed or flagged to the city via the Neighborhood Advisory Council. Additionally, our Civil Rights Inclusion and Opportunity Department is charged with monitoring, so twice a year they actually look at each of the agreements and each of the commitments and see how they're doing and provide them with a rating. If they are found to be out of compliance, then they go on a compliance plan to get back in compliance. And that is basically how we address any issues. If issues are not addressed satisfactorily through that process, then it is at the discretion of City Council for further action.
Thanks for that. And exactly how are the benefits that are supposed to be being acted upon and enforced, how does the planning department communicate to the broader community what's actually being done? What should we be paying attention to make sure that those promises are actually followed through on?
Sure, two ways. So one is that there are the compliance reports that come out twice a year that are published by the Civil Rights Inclusion and Opportunity Department, CREO. Second, at least for the first 2 years post-agreement, there will be an annual update meeting where we'll give a full rundown of that, and other updates we'll share on our website and communicate out as needed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, I'm Elena. I live in Corktown. And I have two parts of the question. One is, you said that it's a privately funded stadium, but there's $1 million in tax abatement involved? And is that for every year, or is it for one time? And the second part, you want to answer that first?
No, go ahead, and we'll take both questions and then answer them.
Okay, the second part of the question I haven't heard mentioned here tonight, but I think it's important that to note that the majority of soccer players and the majority of soccer fans, at least that I know, are Latino, and we're basically being hunted like dogs right now. And I wondered if there was going to be any kind of protection for people that may want to go to the stadium. What kind of security would we have against ICE roundups? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's obviously a very important issue going on that I'm very sensitive to and care a lot about. But I will let Sean, the sun in your face, take on both of those more specific questions.
Yeah, the tax abatement would be multi-year, and I know that that's the focal point of meeting 3 is DGC doing the breakdown on that. You know, when we say it's privately financed, it's looking at that capital stack and, you know, how the construction is paid for. We're not using, you know, public bonds, and we're not using, like other stadiums, the hotel tax or rental car tax to pay off those public bonds, right? All the debt is money that we have secured, and all the equity is money that we've secured. So that's when we were saying, you know, it's privately financed. But to make the project pencil, like any project of any scale here in the city, you know, there are abatements that, you know, we would seek to make the numbers work at all. In terms of the ICE, yeah, you know, very sensitive to it. You know, I mean, we're incredibly excited to move the stadium here into this neighborhood, right? And the reception we've gotten from Southwest Detroit has been tremendous. You know, we host at the Field House, the Patton Park League, every winter, right? So we're very sensitive. We've done staff trainings on, you know, what to do when ICE this comes to the facility. So, it's our community, and we appreciate that. And we've seen other teams across the country step up, and so it's strange we don't have our staff, and something that hopefully we don't have to encounter, but we're, prepared to do.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else in line right now, I do want to open up to the Zoom audience. If you haven't raised your hand at this point, please do raise your hand, and you'll be able to speak your question into the audience here. Do we have anyone with their hand raised on Zoom?
We do. First, I'll read from the Q&A chat. We have Ms. Council Hurst. How do we mitigate all the fans from taking up all the parking spots in the neighborhoods during game days and concert days?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, glad to work through what the parking plan looks like. I think, one of the exciting things about the site is that how far away any residential is. Within a 1,500-foot radius of the site, there's Richard and Kathy and one other occupied house. Conversely, right now in Hamtramck, we have 1,800 residents and 5,500 people that live within 1,500 feet of the stadium. So this is an incredibly exciting opportunity. But we also know that people will disperse around, Michigan Avenue and Bagley. So, glad to work with neighbors, come up with solutions to make sure that, this is added to the neighborhood and not, mitigating the disruption.
Thank you. Next, we have Samsung user. How will the businesses and homes be affected on 20th going towards Vernon?
So if we're talking about, so between Michigan Avenue and Verner, at this point, we own all the structures between the viaduct and Michigan Avenue, and I believe there's only one occupied house south of the viaduct between Verner and the viaduct. And then all the business owners around 20th, we have a long-standing relationship that predates our interest in the site. So, I think we have good relationships there, but it's an exciting location for many ways to build off of what's there.
Thank you. We have a two-part question. Is it possible to reuse any of the weathered metal panels on the facade of the Old Southwest Hospital in the new design? It could be an interesting element to incorporate into the design of the new stadium. Second part. It was mentioned that 15 to 20% of drivers in the greater downtown are DCFC attendees. Do we have a sense of current and potential ridership of DDOT Smart along Michigan Avenue?
Great questions. So, in terms of the steel on the hospital site, we're open to feedback, but we initially conceptualized repurposing some of it into an art piece to pay heritage, speak to the heritage of the hospital on the site. A lot of it is recycled or repurposed, but to incorporate some of it into an art piece that speaks to the hospital's legacy. And then two, in terms of DDOT ridership, obviously we have the bus lines, the DDOT smart bus lines on Michigan Avenue. Ideally people are utilizing it, but in terms of actual massive traffic, we put minimal stock into it. The 27 bus stops right in front of my house. I take it all the time if we're going to a Lions game or any big event downtown. Hopefully people get into the habit of doing that for our games, but it's not a core assumption of ours. Ideally, and glad to have that as part of the conversation and very hard to incentivize people to use transit. Unfortunately, right now, Hamtramck is not really well integrated into the DDOT or smart system, so transit ridership is fairly limited to keep with at the moment. So we don't have a lot of historic data to go off of.